If you're introverted and you struggle to talk to people, you need to watch this video. Instead of just telling you advice, I'm gonna step outside of my comfort zone and apply it in real life social situations so you can see what works and what doesn't. In today's video, I'm gonna break down the specific habits and techniques that I use to create longer, better conversations, even as an introvert, and explain what I'm thinking in the moment so you can apply it for yourself. That is what today's video is all about. Hey everybody, if you're new here, my name is Blake and I help real people like you improve their social skills with real life examples. If you want to stay up to date or go deeper into improving your social skills, you can check out my website, sociallyblake.com, to join my mailing list and check out my digital products. Now, when it comes to talking to people and keeping the conversation going, even if you're able to get a conversation started, a lot of people, especially if they're introverted, don't know what to say to keep the conversation going. Our brains just freeze up for some reason. We either get shy or anxious, or sometimes our brain has so many potential responses that it actually gets overwhelmed and can't decide on a perfect response. So we end up not saying anything. This happens to me all the time. Let's take a look. Just the protein shakes. Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Do you have a favorite one?
I was looking at like the Olani ones over there, or it's not a protein shake, but it's like just a powder. But
oh yeah,
I'm just kind of browsing.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I feel like I had a pretty good start to this conversation, and she was so kind, right? She faced me, she answered my question perfectly, but I think it fizzled out because, again, I just couldn't come up with what to say or ask next. I focused on her with my first question, which was good, but I was just in my head for some reason. I felt rushed and my brain just wasn't clicking. In retrospect, after my first question, because she gave a great reply, I could have asked about the product that she was referring to, right? Where was it? What did it look like? How often do you use it? How long have you been using it? There are so many questions that I could have asked. And that's really the key that we'll get to here in a second, is that you have to ask questions, or at least make comments that initiate a response in order for the conversation to continue. And looking back too, I think I was tired that day. I was overthinking, and it's amazing how much your mood and your energy level can affect your ability or willingness to socialize, especially if you have social anxiety or some other condition that may make it, more difficult for you. You also don't know what kind of day the person you're talking to has had either, right? Some people in some moments are just more willing to talk, right? So you can't beat yourself up, right? Trying to socialize and having some trouble is a totally normal thing. It happens to so many of us, and it may not even be your fault every time. And it certainly doesn't mean that you're hopeless. You just have to keep trying. So how do we fix it? Well, let's take a look at our next example.
Do they have any? No, they don't. I'm sorry. I was looking for the good culture cottage cheese. I didn't know.
Oh,
yeah. Have you heard of that stuff? Oh my gosh. Next level.
Really?
Oh, you have no. It's like what you want cottage cheese to be like. I don't know how to describe it, but it's like.
It's sold out
I know, yeah. But the wild part is Target is now the only place in town that sells it.
Oh, really?
It's right there. Yep. So, yeah, and then what's really wild is that like GG is their like own brand, like Good and Gather or whatever. But then this is GC, and if you look at the label, so it's like, yeah, I get so confused.
Yeah.
Like, dang. But anyway, yeah, that's what I was looking. I'm like, come on. Oh, no, it's that is. So sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt your day or whatever.
But good enough.
Yeah, no good. Are you getting cottage or some kind of cottage cheese?
No, I'm getting French onion.
French onion, that's good.
It's sold out at every other store right now.
French onion dip?
Yeah, which is so weird.
That's like the most common dip. Is it that brand you're looking for, or is it
Yeah,
like?
this is
Oh,
my favorite
okay.
one.
I got you. I was gonna say
I
no.
like all
You
French
could.
onions, but I like this one the best.
Not all are the same, so I understand. What are you dipping? What do you
Just
have?
like Lay's potato chips.
Classic. Yeah, Ruffles or something.
Yep.
Is there a difference though, or do
You
you?
have to get the wavy ones.
The Ruffles.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they don't break. as
Oh,
easily.
that's why they have. My mind just
Right?
was. I had no idea. That's why they
Had to
have
find out the
Ruffles.
hard way, but yeah.
So many like chips left over in your.
And you're like, oh, I don't really know what to do with this now.
That's so funny. I just put that together.
Yeah.
Oh man, that is hilarious. That was great talking with you. I'll let you get back
too.
here. Yeah.
Yeah, have a good-
Yeah. You too.
Now we're cooking, right? Just like the last example, she was so kind as well. She faced me and answered my questions perfectly, which I took as encouragement to pursue a deeper conversation. But notice my behavior. I had way more to talk about and way more questions to ask. So why was that, right? Where did they come from? What was the difference? I had already mentioned that my energy level was a little bit higher and my mood was a little better on that particular day. But beyond that, I was clearly passionate about what I was talking about and passionate about what she was shopping for. I put myself in an environment where there was a subject that I was familiar with. I knew some things about it and I focused on it, right? I wasn't an expert by any means. My brain was just already thinking about it before I started the conversation. And almost immediately, just like I did in the last example, I made it about them. I asked her if she had ever heard of the brand.
I was looking for the good culture cottage cheese. I didn't know.
Oh,
Yeah. Have you heard of that stuff? Oh my gosh, next level.
She said no and asked, "Is it good?" And when she asked a question back, I took that as a sign that it may be okay to continue talking.
Oh my gosh, next level.
Really?
Oh, you have no, it's like what you want cottage cheese to be like, you know? I don't know how to describe it.
And when I gave my answer, I know this is silly, but I was expressing to her how the cottage cheese made me feel. I didn't just spout out random facts about it without expressing emotion along with it. I gave my opinion, but I used my hands and the inflection in my voice to inspire emotion. Because at the end of the day, most people, they do care about how you feel, especially if it's positive. That certainly helps.
But it's like,
It's sold out the night.
I know, yeah, but the wild part is Target is now the only place in town that sells it.
Oh, really?
Right there, yeah. So, yeah, and then what's really wild is that like GG is their like own brand, like
Yeah,
Good
the
and
Good and
Gather or
Gather.
whatever. But then this is GC, and if you look at the label, so it's
Yeah,
like,
so-
yeah, I get so confused.
Yeah.
And now we are playing conversational ping pong, right? This went on for a good minute until she said, "Oh, good to know though."
Yeah, that's what I was looking at. I'm like, come on. Oh,
Yeah.
no, it's not it. So sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt your day or whatever.
You're fine. But good enough.
yeah, no good.
At this point, I could have ended the conversation right there. We had hit a little bit of a lull. If the conversation was going to continue, someone needed to either ask a question or make an intriguing comment, right? But I could tell she wasn't done shopping in that area. She was looking for something specific right there. I had expressed quite a bit of passion toward myself already and thought that the conversation was a bit one-sided because I was talking so much, but the conversation was going pretty well. And so at that point, I decided to ask her another question about what she was shopping for.
Are you getting cottage or some kind of cottage cheese?
No, I'm getting French onion.
French onion, that's good.
It's sold out at every other store. Yeah.
French onion dip?
Yeah, which is so weird.
That's like the most common dip. Is it that brand you're looking for, or is it
Yeah,
like,
this is
oh,
my favorite
okay.
one.
I showed just as much passion for her purchase as the one that I was trying to make. This gave the opportunity to make our conversation a little bit more even instead of it being just all about me, right? So as soon as she said French onion dip, my brain immediately switched into thinking about questions regarding that particular food. And this was easier because we were already talking about food, and so my brain didn't have to make that big of a jump.
I got you. I was gonna say,
I
no,
know
you
French
could.
onion, but I like this one the best.
Not all are the same.
I was genuinely curious about what she was shopping for. I matched her energy and her passion for the subject, just like she did for me, even with something as basic or as silly as French onion dip. I even learned something, right? I had no idea that wavy chips actually had a greater functional purpose. I thought they were just for fun, like curly fries. And as soon as the conversation hit the next little lull, we had already been talking for a minute. She was holding all of her items in her arms, probably ready to keep shopping. So I decided it was time to say goodbye. And when you do that, when you express your feelings, preferably positive ones, but not always, just most of the time, and give the same amount of passion toward others that you were giving toward yourself, and you get better at playing conversational ping pong, you make others feel seen, heard, and understood. That encourages them and invites them to also want the conversation to continue as well. And that is how conversations can turn endless. That is how connections are built. And so I think those are the big takeaways here, right? Energy, passion, curiosity, and if I'm honest, I know everyone hates to hear it, but practice. And not just practice with people, but try practicing being curious on your own. Try walking through a store sometime and asking questions about the different products that you see, even if no one's around. Say you're in the candy aisle or the wine aisle, clothing, right? You name it. If someone is looking to buy that particular item, what are some questions you could ask, right? Take your time and think about it. See how fast you can come up with 3 to 5 questions in 30 seconds with a bunch of different subjects, right? Those questions will serve as the foundation of what will help you keep a conversation going. As long as everything is wrapped in kindness and respect, and you listen to what they're saying and you pay attention to their body language so you don't push when they're trying to wrap up the conversation, that's all it takes. And if you want more social skills just like this one, be sure to subscribe, turn on the notifications, and check out the products available on my website, as well as signing up for my mailing list so you can stay up to date on everything Socially Blake. Thanks for watching.